When our mom was pregnant with baby number 3, the first two being boys, a receptionist asked my oldest brother, Josh, who was 2.5 at the time, if he wanted a brother or sister. Josh sighed like he had been asked this a million times and went, I want 4 boys and then 6 girls. 2 more boys and 6 girls later, Josh's dream was fulfilled. Until our mom announced that she was pregnant with baby number 11. We kids were confused because we had already had our 4 boys and our 6 girls. So what could this next one be? 9 months later, my oldest sister, who's really just a couple years younger than me, came running from the back of the house yelling, "It's a boy!" And then about a year ago, our mom gave birth to another baby sister. And let me tell you, having a little boy has been a huge shock, especially after 6 sisters and another sister after it. There are huge differences between boys and girls. I have first-hand experience. When my oldest brother Josh was still 2.5 years old, he thought the difference between boys and girls was girls had long hair and boys had short hair. Obviously, but there are actually many, many more differences between boys and girls than just hair length. But today I'd like to focus on 3 specific differences between boys and girls. How they see, how they feel, specifically handling pain and stress, and what some of their natural instincts are. So let's start off with how they see. Dr. Leonardo Sachs explains in his book, Why Gender Matters, that our eyes have 2 seeing mechanisms, rods and cones. Our rods are connected to our eyes by magnocellular ganglion, commonly called M cells, while our cones are connected to our eyes by pelvocellular ganglion, commonly called P cells. Rods process speed, distance, and location, whereas cones process color and texture. What's the difference here? Well, boys have more M cells than P cells, whereas girls have more P cells than M cells. Practical difference means that boys are able to see action a lot better than color, whereas girls can see color and texture a lot better than action. This explains that when given a piece of paper, a little girl will draw a still multicolored picture of flower or people, person, whereas a little boy will draw a single-colored picture of a nuclear war zone with tons of atomic bombs and shooting. But secondly, how boys and girls feelings, specifically how they handle pain and stress. To start this off, let me first explain that boys and girls feel things very differently. Last Monday, I was working in our 2 Mondays ago, I guess, because whatever. Yeah, I should change that. 2 Mondays ago.
Recently.
Yes, I will. Recently.
You don't want to have to change it every single time.
Okay. Recently, I was working in our garage and I came across a bucket of movie props that we have, which includes a chainmail shirt. So I decided to put it on while I was working around the garage. As soon as it slid down my back and rested on my shoulders, I felt like I was 60 feet tall and bulletproof. It was awesome. So I was strutting around feeling epic when one of my little sisters saw me and said, "Peter, why are you wearing that?" And I was like, "'Cause it feels epic." Girls just can't understand some things like this. When a girl puts on a chainmail shirt, they most likely feel like, "Wow, this is heavy. Can I take it off now?" However, this misunderstanding of feelings works both ways. For example, there are many things that girls do which we boys are not able to understand at all. I will freely admit that even with 7 sisters, I still do not understand why they wear nail polish, and probably never will. But I did say I would specifically talk about how boys and girls handle pain and stress differently. Dr. Leonardo Sachs, again in his book, explains that boys are much more likely to engage in risky and dangerous behavior, and are much less likely to obey rules against doing them. Why is this? Sachs states, "We know that girls are wired to handle pain and stress differently than males are. When most boys are exposed to threat and confrontation, their senses sharpen and they feel this tingle of energy. Whereas when most young girls are exposed to threat and confrontation, they feel yucky and dizzy. Bottom line, most boys get a thrill from violent or quasi-violent confrontation. This explains that why you often find little boys wrestling with each other. Because we like it. I can still remember the times when I was young when I would bite my arm as hard and as long as possible just to get teeth marks. We boys just like some pain and stress. Girls just don't like it at all. Now, lastly, some boys and girls' natural instincts. Due to boys and girls' instincts, they know exactly what to play with and how it works. My mom recently figured out how guns were invented. It was all the old knights sitting around in the Middle Ages watching the young pages going, bang, bang, I got you, you're dead, bang, bang. And they thought, you know what? We should create something that does that. And thus guns were invented. My youngest sister Maggie can see a doll from across the room on a 6-foot-high shelf and beg for it. Then when we give it to her, she cuddles and kisses it. Jed, on the other hand, would give the doll a gun and have a shootout, but also due to boys and girls' instincts, they know how to relate to other babies. Also, a few weeks ago, we had a family over who have a little girl who can't crawl yet. And there was a toy she wanted just out of her reach. Maggie saw that. She promptly crawled over to the baby, picked the toy up, and then proceeded to stuff it in the baby's mouth. She was probably thinking, I like to suck on my toys, so this baby must like to suck on hers. Let me help her. Jed, on the other hand, usually when he meets a baby, thankfully he did not do this that time, goes something like this. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Kerthumb! It's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. Now, a question that might arise now is, if boys and girls are this vastly different, why aren't men and women all that different nowadays? I mean, they are, but they're not as different as boys and girls are. Why is that? I think that it is because our culture is training it out of us. Just look around and it should become obvious. In our culture, boys are told to not be boys. They're told, sit still, don't fight, don't protect the girls, because that implies that they're weaker than you. Problem is, we boys just want to protect people. A few weeks ago, my youngest brother, Jed, also turned 3. And we got him an inflatable dinosaur for his birthday. As soon as I inflated it, it was taller than he was. I set it down, and he charged, grabbed the dinosaur, flipped him upside down, and slammed his head on the ground. Then he ran off to the boys' room, grabbed his sword, and then started ruthlessly hammering the dinosaur. Also, we boys become better friends when we wrestle with each other. And since we see movement better, we want to do it more, and thus we move more. In fact, ADHD might just be a pseudonym for little boy syndrome. In our culture, girls are taught to leave the home and to fight against boys, to gain a prominent place in society. The problem is, girls just have this natural tendency to know how to have children and how to take care of them. My youngest sisters are constantly sticking balls up their shirts and pretending to be pregnant, and are naturally just nurturing their dolls. In fact, the day after Jed's birthday, they took his inflatable T-Rex, dressed it in dresses, and put a bow on its head. There's a reason why God made boys and girls different genders. In the Bible, it says in Genesis 1:27, God made man in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. If God made you a man, be a real man. If God made you a woman, be a real woman. Don't conform to the world's standards of men and women. Study God's word to see what the God-defined differences are, and just be what you are. I'm blanking out on my... Yes, God is calling for more real men and women in this world. Will you answer that call with me? Thank you.